r/ask Reddit. What will die with millennials? Memory of life without internet. I don't think a lot of people appreciate how big of an achievement that was, and it happened in our lifetimes. That's probably one of the more significant events to happen during our lifetimes. The most significant, irreversibly changed the world. Watching whatever was on. Everything is always on now. You don't stumble into an interesting or awful show because it's the only thing mildly interesting on TV. Going to Blockbuster and trying to find some film to watch, one new and one old combo. I used to love being treated to Blockbuster every third Friday or so as a kid. I once tried to explain to my niece that phones used to be wired to walls. She's 10. She was 6 at the time. Cell phones are all she's ever known. Among the reasons she guessed as to why they were tied to walls, to stop people from stealing them. I had a 12-year-old and her friend laugh hysterically at me, 40, because I called it a telephone and not a phone. I use telephone when I am telling my kids to put it away, similar to how you pull out the middle name when they are in trouble. Yep, they make fun of me too. When I was a kid, we didn't have the internet. I remember asking our son one time if he knew how much tablet time I get when I was a kid. He was complaining that he was getting enough. He guessed 2 hours. I told him 0, because the internet, let alone tablets, weren't really a thing yet. He looks confused and mystified. Did you have a Game Boy? Cause that was pretty much the equivalent. Edit. Thanks for sharing your memories, folks. Funny to think how antiquated the old Game Boy might seem compared to what we have today, but we really did have some great games. Emo Mario Land 2, Pokemon Red Blue, Link's Awakening, and a bunch of other games are still solid if the kid can look past the visuals. Remembering someone's phone number. Still have my 3 best friends' numbers memorized, when I haven't needed to use that info for 15 plus years. As well as most of my family. Intentionally memorized my boyfriends in case there's an emergency and I don't have my phone. I know my parents' home number and a few friends from high school's telephone numbers. I do not know my wife's telephone number, and when I do need it I always look it up on my phone. Dubbing cassettes and burning your own mix on CD. Waiting by the radio for an hour for them to play your favorite song. You push record at just the right moment. Song plays, only for the DJ to talk over the last 30 seconds. Sigh, memories. Or somewhere yells into the basement or your room, followed by IAM trying to record a tape. A coworker and I were talking a while ago and we started talking about how the general population, not the ones going to school for it or people truly interested. Most younger and older people don't understand a lot about computers. If it's not app, most people aren't really sure how to get to it on a computer. I thought, that's not right surely, but when trying to get a younger coworker, different depth, to add a printer, he literally asked me where's the app. I can't find it to add the printer and I just stared into the middle distance for a sec before just doing it for him. It was like navigating a computer wasn't something he'd done in his life. And he's only 4 years younger than me. He's glued to a cell phone too, so I was like, yeah, okay, this guy should know. Nope. This is only one example though. However, when I really stop and think about it, the window from late 80s zeros were really the testing phase for home computers and most all websites. So navigating them, learning basic code, MySpace people, and just figuring out computer language, not code, just the terms, for normal people, really ended when cell phones became more popular. But it feels weird to have to explain stuff to someone younger than me while simultaneously doing the same thing when they are older. It's kinda frustrating tbh, but mostly just mind-boggling. Cue this awesome Verge article on college students who grew up on smartphone operating systems, struggling to follow professors' instructions because they don't comprehend a traditional computer file system. File not found. Great read. Students have had these computers in my lab. They'll have 1,000 files on their desktop completely unorganized. Oh god, we're back to grandma's desktop again. Listening to the radio all day waiting for your favorite song. This made me remember phoning in to request certain songs and being so excited when they played them. Also, I grew up in a small town, so people could phone in and wish you a happy birthday and they would play all the birthday messages in the morning. the knowledge of life before instant connection and internet fast globalization. I used to play in a creek after school in 1999, have never seen kids play in that creek for at least 15 years. Was mystified by the tadpoles and crawdads. Just this might be something to add to reasons why, at least in my area, all our creeks are contaminated by me, from oil, feces, or just anything that has been dumped in them. Thus they have a lot of signage saying don't play in them and a lot of news saying don't. That doesn't stop everyone, but it's the reason a lot of the kids by me won't go on them. Edit. I'm not fixing the mistake, else the comments won't make sense anymore. Good day. Awkwardly trying not to look at each other in a waiting room. Smartphones saved us from just hours of staring ahead in a lot of places. They've had newspapers and magazines for that since long before cell phones. Playing multiplayer video games with split screens in one room. Halo LAN parties, man. Good times. LAN parties hit diff than being in a Discord call. LAN parties need to come back in style. 3. 5-inch floppy disks. 5. 25-inch floppy disks that actually were floppy. The real Oregon Trail. Knowledge of pre-digital life. An appreciation for sending and receiving letters in the mail. As Arcade Fire put it, we used to wait. Memory of the USA pre 9/11. Using maps and Thomas guides for road trips. Guys, I'm so old I remember the first time my dad used MapQuest to print out directions for a cross-country trip, and how novel it seemed at the time. Burials. Most people I hear from want to be cremated, plus do you know how ducking expensive dying is? Probably will have to pay rent on the plots by the time we all die too. FFS. When I'm dead, just throw me in the trash. Harvest what parts you can for people who need it, the rest can go to science if there's anything useful, and whatever else can be discarded in the least harmful and most inexpensive way possible. XD. XX username XX. I was never big on the X's, but this one hits too close to home. Knowing what the early internet was like, before it became all corporatized. Mourning the loss of all our weird little GeoCities pages. Now, you cannot browse information on the internet without a company deciding how and what you will see. Ah yes, my family had a large collection of AOL free trials. My mom worked for Sprint, so we had Earthlink for very cheap, maybe free, but we still kept dozens of those CDs just in case. Declaring your Harry Potter house to others in normal conversation. I saw a kid wearing a Ravenclaw shirt and I almost went, oh hell yeah, Ravenclaw. And then I remembered that I am 30 and don't need to talk to random children. Even in the world we live in today, as a dude in my 40s, I've yet to see anyone get upset when I politely say, I like your shirt, or that's a great shirt, regarding a cool t-shirt, and just keep going. People enjoy a genuine, non-creepy compliment, especially from a fellow fan. You'll never know when you make someone's day. Childhood spent pre-cell phone. This one is incredibly important. Humanity is in new territory with the way kids are being raised, for better or worse. Widespread home ownership. That is the goal of a popular political movement. You will own nothing and be happy about it. Someone will own it, just won't be you. Memories of watching movies on VCRs. Pointless comment from my side. I was watching the live action Cat in the Hat from 2003 and it made me think of an animated one I used to watch as a kid on VHS. Eventually found it on YouTube and had a watch. Apparently using a Haynes or a Chilton's manual to work on your car. I hate using YouTube videos for car maintenance, but it looks like that's all I have left. As a Jenks guy, they are great. I have one for every car I own and all the ones I have owned. That said, when I need to get into something I'm not familiar with, I will still seek out videos on YouTube. The reason being, I like and have exclusively owned Fords. There's a Ford Master Tech on YouTube that does in-depth videos including all the pro tips and tricks and shortcuts that Chilton's doesn't give you. Chilton's has saved my bacon many times, but I can't deny the advantage of watching someone do it over reading instructions. Who's the Ford Master Tech, you monster? Articles about how millennials ruin everything. Millennials are running the funeral industry. They want cheap wooden coffins or just cremation. Just throw me in the trash. Living memory of 9/11. I watched the second plane hit live on TV in my second grade classroom. Privacy. It's been dead for decades. Physical copies of movies and games. It seems like. I'm Gen Z, but I will always prefer psychical copies of media over digital versions, even with the benefits that digital versions give you. It just feels nice to have a psychical copy. I love the novelty of it. With physical copies, Apple or Amazon can't just yoink it from your library. I think the bootstrap mentality, it's already declining in millennials, but there are still plenty on the front end of the generation that still believe in working themselves to death and grinding 24/7. Most on the younger side of the generation see right through it and have taken a job as just to support my lifestyle perspective. Our parents still think we need to go in with our resume and demand an interview. Our kids constantly show us kids that have made it on YouTube, TikTok, whatever. We've seen both sides of it and we're just not real impressed. The original bootstraps was meant to show the impossibility of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. But yes, the modern bullshit definition of this indeed appears to be dying. Cursive. American thing, I guess. We are taught both in Czech Republic and big portion of children prefer cursive. After being forced to learn cursive in 3rd grade and writing that way for the whole year. Forced, my 4th grade teacher told me she wouldn't accept any assignments in cursive. So annoying. Being almost able to buy a house. With the current rate of home building, I'm starting to worry that Zoomers won't even be able to have their own room in a shared house. They'll be in bunk beds. Probably giraffes. No fault of the millennials, but you're on the same timeline. Your username makes me think you're eating them. Knowing what the save icon actually is. Portable DVD players. According to clickbait listicles, everything. Attention span. Retirement. Home ownership. Hope. Getting along with people who have different political views as you have. At this rate, an ecosystem that is inhabitable for humans. Probably. Being independent by 16-17 years old. As a boomer, I really thought the flower child would prevail. That we would bring in the age of Aquarius. Everyone would love each other as themselves. Whoa, was I wrong? The millennial suicide rate is killing the labor market. Everything pretty much. Born too late to explore the planet. Born just in time to witness the Holocene extinction. Having kids or not as many kids, we just can't afford it. The terms rewind and fast forward. We are moving toward a global symbolic language. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.